Well, welcome to another episode of The Secret Sauce. Today we're sitting down with Jaime Taets. Now, how many more things can I put after your name?
Okay. I want to hear you try. Okay, what else?
Chief Vision Officer, 2 times author, founder of Keystone Group International, public professional speaker,
Podcast host,
podcast
mom
host.
of 4 teenagers.
Ooh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, there's probably more, but that's it. For now.
So that's a lot. So I feel like I'm sitting down with an old friend.
Yes.
I know we just met, a couple of years ago. We did an event together.
Right.
For Trademark.
But I feel like I've known you forever.
Yeah. We hit it off right away. So I am so excited to talk to you today. And
I was just excited. The first thing I said when I came in was, I'm just excited to see you. We can record a podcast too, but I'm just excited
the
to see you.
podcast is just the byproduct here. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I want to start out with kind of finding out what was maybe that spark or that thing that came to your mind that got you moving in the direction of where you are today.
Well, I mean, it's trusting your gut. I think a lot of success is about what it is, what you need to do, the hard decisions
Yeah.
you need to make. And so many of us, and I'm guilty of it still to this day, we don't listen,
Right.
until we have to listen. Or, for me, it was just all the signs of, I had a great corporate career,
Mm-hmm.
and I just knew there was something more. I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know what it was. It wasn't like I had this perfect definition of success I was working towards.
Right.
I just knew I wanted it to feel different, and I wanted, my passion to be higher than what it was. And it wasn't anything with the company. It was just, I wasn't gonna fuel my passion there.
Right.
And so it was that jump to become an entrepreneur is where I really started thinking about success differently. Because in a corporate career, which is, you can have a great corporate career.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I think success in a corporate environment is defined very differently than it is as an entrepreneur. And so I had to adjust my definition in order to continue to fight the good fight on the entrepreneurship side, because it's hard.
And what, and that's, even though it seems like maybe it's a little bit natural transition if you meant that, gotten that pinnacle, it's still scary, right? It's the unknown. It's like, oh man, can I do this?
Yeah, I've never done
Am
it
I
before.
capable of doing this?
Mhm.
Do I have enough people around me that I know that if I fall,
Right.
they're gonna be there?
I think that's been the biggest learning for me, is going from domain expertise, having a job with a title
Mhm.
that you just knew you were good at, right? And you kind of knew what the next title you were going to go for, and you had to build some skills. In my world, because of the work we do, the business climate is changing so much
Right.
that we have to be humble and have a ton of humility on, like, we don't know yet, but we're going to figure that out. I mean, so it's built that for me. I don't know that I naturally had that. I mean, I grew up humble beginnings, but as a woman, I was in tech. Like, I really felt like I spent a lot of my early career, faking it. Like, trying to look like I knew what I was
Yeah.
doing, when inside I was like, I have no idea.
Right.
And that's probably been the biggest thing for me, is once I gave that up, and I can just be like, I have no idea. I mean, I
Right.
still feel that way as an entrepreneur. Like, there's a lot we don't have figured out.
Right. And I think too, when we say that, I mean, because before it's like, I know that saying always comes back to me, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
We heard that so many
Yeah.
times, but I think once you put that out in the atmosphere,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when you have to own it and say, I don't know it all.
Right.
And I need to surround myself with people that are better than me, that are more creative, like we were just talking about a few
Right.
minutes ago,
Right.
more creative than me, can do things different than I can do them, that are more successful. But it's when you surround yourself, I think, too, with those people, it makes it so much easier
Right, because
to jump into that space.
and we normalize that. So I just, on my podcast just yesterday, a C-suite executive from a multi-billion-dollar company interviewed her, and this is what she talked about. She said, I know a lot of it, right? The domain expertise. She goes, my next level of growth is leadership, and being vulnerable and teaching my team, right, about what that looks like, and opening so they can feel like they can be that way. It's not about domain expertise at some point.
Right.
Success
Right.
isn't learning more book stuff, being smarter in an area.
Right.
It's knowing more about yourself, I think, actually.
Oh, absolutely. I totally think. And being honest about it, like you
Yes.
said. Let's talk about that authenticity piece and stuff. Like we were just talking about social media and how people just showing up as themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, that is where it's at right now.
It is. Well, and I think it's been like that for a while with some people, but I think, I mean, it's refreshing that it's now gotten that way.
So too, yeah.
Because I think back to the reason I started my podcast was someone said, every time I meet with you, like have coffee, I just get so much good about, like, you should start a podcast. And my first reaction was like, no way. And this is 7 years ago, right?
Yeah.
No way I'm putting myself out there. Right?
Because of the scared,
someone's
right?
not gonna
Like-
believe what I believe. They're gonna say, the trolls are gonna say this or that. You know, it's scary at
It
times
is.
to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
But when you start doing it, it's like an addiction to do it more, because you hear the stories of the people that say, when you talked about that, I feel like it opened the door
For
the
me.
rest of us.
Yeah.
Right? My
Exactly.
first book was full of stories where my publisher said, are you sure you want to put all of these personal stories in here? And I'm like, I feel like I have to. I think as your platform for success gets bigger and more people are seeing you, I think you have a bigger responsibility
To tell
to
your
be-
story,
to
right?
tell the real story,
Yeah.
not the highlight reel.
Yeah.
And so I really try to do that. I don't think I'm perfect at it, but I think if more of us did that, we'd probably connect with each other on a whole different level, because we'd see there's more in common.
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to connect, and especially with women, I feel like to have that safe space to be able to
Yes.
say those things and express those experiences that you've had, and be in a room of those people that are like, I get you.
Yes.
I understand where you're coming from.
I've been there before, and here's how I got through it. I mean, that's
Right.
what success is. It's getting through the obstacles.
Exactly.
It's not an obstacle-free path. It's
Right.
the opposite of that.
Right. Right.
And we have to support each other through it.
Absolutely. So are there any habits that you have daily, weekly, monthly, maybe yearly, you go to, you know, like you go climb a mountain, like you
Yeah.
climb the Mount Kilimanjaro
Yeah.
or whatever, you know?
I'm leaving next week to climb another one.
Oh my
So I can tell you all
gosh,
about
that is so awesome.
So
Yeah.
it is becoming an annual thing now for me. It's a new annual thing.
So that
my
for sure
family's
needs to
like,
stay in the tape.
yes,
I'm climbing
yes.
mountains, people. So what are some other habits that you
Yeah,
have?
I have really strong daily habits. I think I'm a little weaker on the weekly and monthly other things, and then I'm really good like quarterly and annually, right? The bigger vision stuff, because I'm
Okay,
a visionary.
yeah.
But daily for me, it's morning and evening, and it's really regimented. Like, I get up, I work out, I earn my meditation, and I say that, like, I do my workout, I move my body. It doesn't have to be crazy.
Right.
I move my body, and then my treat is I get a meditation. That's how I look at it.
Love it.
And I meditate 7 days a week, 10 to 15 minutes in the morning. I journal. I just started. I was never good at that. I've got a really easy journal that like guides me, so I don't have to just sit and think, you know, stare at the
Right.
blank paper.
Right.
I do that every day. It's got a lot of gratitude built in, because that is not something I'm good at. So I had to build it in and kind of, you have to build the muscle.
Oh, of course.
Until the muscle's there,
Practice,
you're not gonna do it.
practice. Yeah.
I do that, and that's kind of my time in the morning. My family literally knows, like, nobody knocks on the door. Like, the door gets shut in the bedroom, like, nobody comes in. And then I do similar in the evening, but I have a wind down. I have a full hour wind down. So if my husband and I are watching Netflix or doing something, I'll just be like, okay, at this time I'm gonna go do my wind down, and he'll say, what time do you want me to come up? What time do you want me to enter your space? And I'll give him, you know, depending on what time I'm going up there, like I give him a time. And same thing, I do a little bit of a meditation. I do kind of the end of day gratitude and looking at the day and what am I, and then I have like I have cards that I pull that just help me kind of just almost like cleanse all the stress from the day. Because if I take that to bed with me,
Oh,
it
yeah.
doesn't work well.
There ain't no sleeping. No.
And I try to stay out social, but I do, if I'm feeling anxious, I mean, we all, like, I'll have a day where I just feel like whatever's coming up tomorrow, I have anxiety about. There's certain people on social, so I won't look at everybody. I'll go straight to their Facebook page, or I'll go and I'll read the things, because I know everything they're putting out
Yeah.
is stuff that will fill my bucket versus stuff that will drain me. So I might spend 10 minutes reading their stuff, and then I feel like I can calmly go to sleep.
Yeah.
So I really do carve out the morning and evenings, and I have boundaries with my family.
What do you feel are maybe some mistakes or missteps or something that stands out to you that you're like, oh, what the heck?
Yeah, so thinking back really over my entrepreneurial journey over the last 11 years is not taking risks soon enough. So trusting my gut. I mean, it really goes back to, I knew what I needed to do, but I let the world tell me what I should do. I let voices in that probably weren't taking the risks I was taking, right? And
Right.
stop me from doing those things. So a lot of the mistakes I see are things that I just wish I would have made a decision sooner or taken a risk sooner. As a leader, most of my mistakes are as a leader, really, on where I didn't handle a situation well. I didn't make a decision on someone that shouldn't be on the team because it wasn't right soon enough, and then it
Right.
impacts the team, and then you've got to course correct. So a lot of my mistakes are fully owned, right? Like I just didn't
Right.
do what I knew I needed to do, because it's hard.
It is hard.
Having hard conversations is not something people wake up every day and say,
No.
I want to do. And if you do, I want to know how you're doing that, because it's emotionally draining.
What do you think is maybe one of the hardest decisions that you've had to make, either professionally, personally, that has maybe sent you off in a
Yeah, there's two that really stick out to me. I mean, the first one is starting my business. I mean, you don't leave a good corporate career and a salary to just
Right.
like become an entrepreneur without it being a very hard decision.
right?
And
And we kind of met at that point where you
Yeah.
were just stepping into
Yeah, and some
that.
people know my story. I talk about it in my first book, so it's out there. But you know, I started my
You
business.
Are Here.
Yes,
is the name of it. You
Thank
Are
you.
Here.
I started my business, and 6 months later found myself in the middle of a divorce with 2 small kids. And so it was that moment of, I wasn't far enough into the entrepreneurship journey that I could have just gone and gotten a job. Most people probably would have been like, I totally understand. Like, I'm
Oh,
supporting
yeah.
myself, I'm supporting kids. Like,
No one would have blamed you.
no one would have blamed me.
For not trying to
right,
move
and
along.
that was probably the hardest decision, but I'm so grateful because I didn't. I stuck to what I really doubled down on myself, is how I look at it. And when the chips were, down, like, I'm gonna bet on myself. And I stuck it out, and it was really hard for about a year. I mean, there wasn't a ton of income coming in, and I had to figure out a lot of things, both personally and professionally, during that time. So I look back on that, and it was a defining moment for me as a human. So the tough things we go through, it's not the easy stuff that
No.
you remember. The easy stuff is
No.
great. I like it to be easy every now and then. It's those defining moments on your lifeline, if you look back throughout your life. That was one of the hardest ones, and the next hardest one was about midway through 2022. I had some hard decisions on hires that were not working out, and I'm a small business,
Yeah.
and so it's impactful.
Big time. Yeah.
And I had made some mistakes, and they were very costly mistakes to the business in our ability to grow, and that was probably on my lifeline another really hard point where I had to look at myself in the mirror and say, this is on you 100%. This is no one else's fault. And it was a really tough reckoning with yourself.
But for you to look at that and go, I learned.
Oh,
I grew.
I'm
I
a
see
different
things
leader.
from a different perspective. I'm a different
Yes.
leader.
Yeah.
I mean, I think with each experience like that, I feel that way as well with just decisions I've had to make, different experiences and opportunities I've had to move in different positions here, even at Trademark.
Yeah.
It's, you really start, I feel like I really start knowing, like you said, who I am as a leader. Because
Ooh, that was hard.
through those hard, if it's hard decisions you have to make, or hard conversations you have to have, or even the people you meet, and like you said, not everybody's gonna like you, you have to maneuver through that and just be like, it's okay. But I feel like the older I get, but the more experiences that I have in those spaces, I just feel like I feel more confident
Right.
with each one.
Right.
And that they too are all that growing experience, and I'm failing forward is like I like to always
And
say.
and I agree, but when you're in it, so if there's anybody listening that's in it right now that's going like,
Yeah.
yeah, great, but I'm in it, I'm in the suck right now,
Right.
is,
Embrace the suck.
it's, you gotta pay attention to the judgment that you're putting on yourself in that moment.
Yeah.
Because this too shall pass, like you have to soften the edges of that judgment a little bit,
Mhm.
because I think we are the ones that get in the way of our own success more than anybody else.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It really is us. And if we can work ourselves through that and stop worrying about if everyone else is worrying about us, like,
Yeah.
we can get through it faster. It's still gonna suck.
Exactly. I know we show everybody else so much grace,
Totally.
and we never shine that back
I'm still
on
working that
ourselves. I
one.
mean, I think we all are because we have those doubts, you know, even though we can be courageous and confident, we still have that little bit of doubt and I'm
And
measuring up
some
here.
of that's healthy. That's what
Yeah.
it's been a push-pull for me, because some of that doubt, some of that healthy fear,
Mhm.
needs to be there, because it's what drives that inner fire to say, I'm gonna get
gonna
through
do
this,
it.
I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna come
Yeah.
out the other side. But it's when that fear starts driving the car, right? Versus it's in the passenger seat. That's kind of the
Right.
analogy that I give executives is, if it's driving you, you're not showing up in the right way. You're definitely not on the journey to success. You're just kind of spinning somewhere else, waiting
Right.
to get through this.
Right.
So you've got to acknowledge it, but it doesn't have to like rule your life.
So if you could start all over again, would there be anything you would do differently?
No, I don't love living in regret because of what we've talked about here, and that I've learned so much from every experience. My business would not be where it's at today if I hadn't gone through what I went through when it started, because I had no choice.
Right.
But to hustle and figure it out. And I think it would have been a lifestyle business, and I would have just, been comfortable,
Yeah.
and I just don't know that it would be where it is at today. So I'm grateful for those hardships. I think the things I would do differently is, as I said earlier, I would take more risk. And that's something you hear, like you read the studies of people on their dying, like their deathbed.
Oh, yeah.
And the big things is, I wish I would have spent more time with people that actually deserved my time, right?
Mhm.
And I wish I would have taken more risks in my life.
Yeah.
Like not in a crazy, risky, like where you're putting things at risk, but
Yeah.
just, I wish I would have had more confidence in what I was capable of, and, what we're capable of as a team.
I know.
So that's my thing, is I'm trying to get better about that.
What is some advice that you could maybe give someone right now that would get them closer to what their definition of success is?
A couple of things that come to mind that we haven't already talked about, because I think it's reflection. Build in a reflection practice, and I really mean this. Like, people think this is like, oh yeah, if I have time. We work with top level executives, and we're helping them build in reflection in their day to day so that they can grow as a leader,
Yes.
so that they can grow the business. Like, we think of it as like, if I have time, that's a nice to have. It's an absolute necessary in today's world, that if you don't have that practice, because the only way you grow, I always tell people, you can go to a conference all day. I could go to a conference today and take in tons
Of
of information that's all useless if I don't reflect on it.
Right.
And I don't decide what's a couple of things I'm gonna do and take back to the team, implement in our business. Just a couple of things,
Right.
not everything I learned. And if we don't do that reflection, I don't think we grow. And I think it's absolutely, if you talk to the most successful people and you listen to other podcasts
Yeah.
and interviews, it's all about their clarity and their reflection time that
Absolutely.
they build in.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, build that in, and that could be 5 minutes a day. Right? It doesn't have to be this huge momentous thing. It can be a journal next to your bed that you carve out 5 minutes before you go to sleep to just reflect on the day and what did you learn. The last thing I'll add, and this is kind of, I haven't announced this yet, so this might be kind of the announcement. So my 3rd book is almost done.
Oh my God,
I haven't
girl.
talked about it
That
at
is
all on social.
awesome.
And it's a little different, so
Congratulations.
thank you. There's a lot around it, but it's part of my journey on Kilimanjaro, so climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, and what I learned about myself. But it's a fable, so it's fictionalized. So it's not about me. It's about this journey of success.
Yeah.
But the concept is, and the title of the book is Surviving Greatness. And I think it's so pertinent for this conversation right now, because sometimes our success is actually what gets in our way. Because we've achieved the title, or the job, the salary,
Right.
or the world stops asking more of us. But yet there's more we want to give. And how do you survive through greatness? Because you can be really great and still have more that the world needs from you.
Absolutely.
And I think really successful people don't even realize they're in that cycle of, I should just be grateful for what I have. But what if there's more?
Yeah.
How do we get through that and support each other to say, you can be grateful for what you have? I have a very successful business. I've written through, but like, to the outside world, they're like, check, 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 like, just.
Right, bucket list, bucket list, bucket list, this all
good.
happened, yeah,
Why do
right.
you want more?
Right.
And the world, I think the world needs more from me, and I'm just figuring out what that next thing is, and so that's the whole premise of the book, and so I think it's
Love
so
it.
pertinent to what we're talking about right now.
Oh,
is
absolutely.
We need to give ourselves permission to be okay with, we wanna go to the next level, whatever that looks like,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna work my tail off to get there.
Right. Oh, I love it.
So, coming soon, hopefully by the end of the year.
Oh, I think
You're
that's
the
great.
first to know.
I can't wait to get it. That is awesome. Well, this has been wonderful.
I adore
Sitting
you.
down with you. I adore you too. And I can't wait to maybe collaborate a little bit
I love it.
further.
Let's get
on
into
in the
visionary mode
future.
here.
Yeah, no kidding. We'll shut the cameras off and we'll talk. But no, thank you so much for your time and everything you do. I mean, you've been such an inspiration to me since I met you a few years ago, and you're always just a thought away in my head when we're scrolling. I'm going on social media, I'm looking at what you're doing, and just so thankful to know you.
Well, ditto, and thanks for creating the space for these kind of conversations, because I think this is the real conversation that people need to hear, right, for their own
Right.
inspiration. So, you creating this space is allowing people to listen and have those types of conversations.
Thank you. Awesome. Well, my friends, that is another episode of The Secret Sauce.